You've generated 15 million euros.
You're gonna lose to me. And I make this very clear to everybody. I can just work a few hours a week. Can I still make it? No, you can't. My mom, she literally gave away 80% of her net worth because she loves me, and I'm just too lazy. I'm playing games here.
You actually retired your parents in 2021.
Most people don't realize this shit. I was fat, bro. Did you see my pictures?
You guys went broke 3 times.
What really helped me was...
Faruk Ilkhan, how are you, brother?
Amazing. Thank you very much to you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And it's an absolute pleasure to have Ecom's smoothest operator on the podcast today.
Likewise, brother. The smoothest operator of Google Ads as well. Thank you, bro.
I appreciate that. Maybe I'll have to coin that term, stick it in my bio as well. So, Faruk, I want to give everyone just a quick summary about your journey because it is quite a journey that you've been on in the past 4 or 5 years. So for those that don't know you, although I feel like a lot of people will, you've generated 15 million euros from EU general store dropshipping, where you essentially take trending products from the US and bring them over to EU markets, which in my opinion is genius, by the way, because you're taking products that already have proof of concept and you're exposing them to a new audience. So you're essentially just minimizing risk. And you got introduced to dropshipping around about 2019, at the time where you were doing an internship. And you got your brother on board, you kind of sold him on it. You were like, look, we need to get involved in dropshipping. I can see where this is going. And you tackled it together. Your brother was also working a 9 to 5 at the time, but helping fund the dropshipping journey. Now, you guys went broke not once or twice, but 3 times, investing all of your money into dropshipping until you found your big break. And you got that winning product. You did 3 million euros in revenue from dropshipping. And you were doing 2 or 3K profit per day, all while you were still at your internship. And then you got to the end of your internship, looked at your brother and were like, look, we need to go full time on this. And I think that was around about 2020 where you dove in, went full time into dropshipping. So the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
But Faruk, I'd describe yourself now, and maybe you will as well, as still being in the trenches every day. But the trenches that you're in are maybe a bit more luxurious than they used to be. You've got some comfort around you, you've got some stability. But maybe you could take it back to 2019 and describe what it was like, all those times where you were trying to build out a dropshipping store, kept going broke, and really what kept you going.
First of all, bro, very, very good explanation. You did your research. Love it. Yeah, man. Thank you, bro. So, yeah, 2019. For me, what it was very important back then at first is family was the first thing why I started, for example, and as well freedom and abundance, you can say, and everything that comes with it. So what happened essentially is that in 2019, yes, I had the internship and I was looking at my friends who had the same study as I did, who then had a job. And I was always like, all right, if I study university, it's done. I will make 5-6K a month or whatever. That's what was my thoughts. And then I'll have a cool life because I hated studying. I was so bad at it. I was one of the worst people in the classroom. I always gave my all, but just focus or something was bad. So I failed a lot even back then. And then, yeah, I saw my friends and also my brother who also studied the same as I did. I saw he was making like 1.7K a month. And he was still living, with his parents, obviously also with me back then. And it was okay, but how are you going to go out of house? And even if you work for 4 or 5 years, the promotion you're going to make is not going to give you enough money to really live a life which is like kind of where you can get out of the machine, you can say. So I noticed that, and because I always think very deep, I think deep. I tried to make a strategy even back then. How can I prevent this to happen to me? I think you had the same as well back in the days. So I just went to YouTube and stuff, found a lot of stuff, tried a lot of stuff, invested all the money that I was making with my 9 to 5 and the internship as well back in the days. I had both. So I was studying, I had the internship, and I had a 9 to 5, and I was working on my dropshipping business. And there's a lot of content of me out there on my socials where you see me grinding my ass off. I was like 20 kilos more heavy. I had only 1K or 2K in my bank account, together with my brother. I mean, life was so different. Because you see all these people online all the time, and you're like, what are they doing differently than I do? Why can they live a life where they can do like literally whatever the hell they want, and I can't? Just frustrated, very frustrated. And yeah, I just started like drop shipping. I saw an opportunity in there. Low risks, for example. You didn't need a bunch of money to start a business. I always wanted to do something for myself, live the CEO lifestyle. Until you really live that lifestyle, you'll see what happens. And yeah, we went from there, man. Just kept on going, focused on one business model. And then at some point, it just clicked, and then, and then my brother was, throughout the whole journey all along, he was there. So yeah, that's like a little bit about it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that with me. And it's interesting to hear. I seem to hear this more and more as I speak to a lot of successful people now. A lot of them really did struggle at school. Or like you said, you were trying your best, but you were always maybe below average, or it wasn't quite where it needed to be. But yet you find something alternative like dropshipping and channel all of your energy into that, and you can be successful. And I think that's something that is still so wrong with the education system today. Is it's so outdated that it will really teach you to just stay within the lines. You need to prepare for this exam, and this exam is going to dictate your future. But I think we see now more and more often that actually that has no bearing on your future whatsoever, unless you want to get into university.
Yeah, and look, I do think I learned a lot from university. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real here. Like I'm a graduated from university. I did commercial economics, which is about sales and marketing. I learned a bunch, but you get these questions like, you get a test and they ask you, what is the definition of CPMs? I'm like, and later I understood, like, what am I supposed to do with the definition if I don't know how to like execute it in business, So that is one of the things that I didn't like about university, but I must say still it gave me good basics. Would I do it again? No. But if you aspire to be a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever, like one of these jobs where you have to go to university or school, then I don't think it's really that bad kind of a thing, to be honest. So I do believe in that. But yeah, if I'm gonna look what I'm doing right now, was school necessary? No. To be honest, I would have just preferred to just go all in again on your business, have a 9-to-5 somewhere, whether it's a pizza delivery guy or Burger King, all the stuff that I did before, and then just start a business. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be SMA, it can be drop shipping, it can be something with content, it can be anything. And I would have just done that, to be honest.
It's funny because me and you actually have a very, very similar journey.
Yeah, you also graduated university?
I went to university, did engineering, but I never left school wanting to do engineering or go to university. I got an apprenticeship as a plumber and did that for 4 years. And then as soon as I finished that, I was like, what's next? I always like to be working towards things. And I like things that you can't complete, like Ecom, like dropshipping. Like, you're never really done, are you? Like, there's always new challenges, and that's what excites me and that's what I enjoy. So at that time, I guess you could describe myself as like a problem solver. I just didn't know it yet. I'm just like, well, what's next? Like, I've done this. Then I thought the next step up would be to become an engineer. So I did that. And then I finished that. And similar to you, like you said, was working full-time as an engineer. I was doing university. They put me through my studies 1 day a week for 4 years, plus trying to manage friends and relationships. And then I'd bought a dropshipping course on high-ticket dropshipping.
Really? From who, if I may ask?
Anton Kraly.
Anton Kraly, okay.
He's the US-based guy, and his whole model is very different to yours in that it's like, don't dropship from China, and he preaches high-ticket dropshipping. Yeah. So it's funny because it was around the same time, 2020, when I finally got into dropshipping, so maybe just slightly after you. So it's just funny that we've kind of started at the same point, had similar difficulties, and also ended up taking the same path, although I then decided later to pivot specifically into Google Ads. Hi guys, it's Theo, and together with my business partner Joe, we've generated 13.7 million in revenue with Google Ads for e-commerce businesses, and we've done so without charging anything upfront. The way we help e-commerce businesses like yours grow with Google Ads is by performing a free, full audit of your current setup and strategy. providing a full breakdown of where we think there's opportunity to scale. Then we jump into the trenches and action our plan with no upfront payments, only charging you a percentage of the extra revenue generated by our campaigns. Working this way has helped us achieve results like this, and this, and this in the last 12 months alone. I won't keep you much longer, but what I will say is if you've enjoyed our free content so far, then imagine how much value you'd get by booking a quick one-to-one discovery call with myself to see what we can achieve together. See the video description now for more details. Alright, now back to the podcast. Like you said, I think that's the beautiful thing about Ecom, is it exposes you to building Shopify stores, identifying trending products, making content, running ads, email marketing, hiring VAs, like all of these things that you don't really learn them unless you get involved and do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, and then you do all this stuff, and then at some point you're kind of like a jack of all trades, but then you realize as a business owner, CEO, you're just a problem solver. Just a huge problem solver. You got to be creative every single day. You got to show up every day, and you got to make sure that people rely on you. You know, at this point as well with us, like across our two companies, we have like around like 40 employees, team members, whatever you call it. And in the beginning, it's like, all right, let's make money. You know, let's kind of escape the matrix. But then at some point, because for me, it all started like, all right, I want to help my parents financially. That was like the first thing, you know, because I mean, I'm not saying I grew up poor because I was born and raised in Netherlands. If you're born in Europe, like let's say like this, if you're born in Europe, like in Europe or in US, and you can't make it out, and you can't even become a millionaire in 10 years, let's say, and I genuinely think that you are doing like not something wrong in your life, but there's a lot of possibilities, opportunities out there to do it. You know, I did it as well. In my first few years, I also became a millionaire. And no, it wasn't easy. It's not for everybody, but I do think the opportunity is there. If you're from a third world country like India or Pakistan, and you make it out of it, that's like 100 times harder. I always feel like if you don't do it as somebody from Europe or from US, in this day and age in 2024, then you're just kind of like not lazy, but you're not really want to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that because it was always hurting me, because I have this story, right? Where I was with my mom. This was back in, I was maybe, how old was I? I was maybe 10 or something, or 9 years old. And I went with my mom and my aunt as well, like her son, so my nephew. We went to a toy shop, right? So, and my mom was always working, you know, as like a cleaner, whatever. Let's say make like 1K a month or something. And then at some point, and we were just like, we were surviving, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we were broke. You know, it was just, okay. So one time, my aunt, we were like with, you know, like the four of us in the shop. So, and my mom and my aunt, she was buying a toy for her son for like 100 euros, 150 euros, something like that. And then I saw that, I got like FOMO. I was like, oh, I want it as well. So I was pushing my mom, buy also something for me, you know. It's like, feels like, I don't know if I can. I just, you know, my salary is coming like, let's say in 1.5 weeks or something. I maybe only, she said like to me, like I maybe only have like 60 euros in my bank account, maybe even less. So, and you know, you're like, you're still young. So you don't really think, you're like, whatever, money, whatever, you know. So kept pushing. And then I convinced her, and then she bought for like 40 euros a toy for me. Just like Lego toys. I used to love Lego and building, you know. And when I got older and I realized like, yo, I don't like what I'm doing with school. It's not really for me. Working under somebody, for example, as well. And then I was thinking back to that moment when I was younger, and I was like, whoa. My mom, she literally gave away 80% of her net worth in a single moment for me because she loves me. And I'm just too lazy. I'm playing games here. I'm going out. I'm spending on bullshit. What kind of son am I?
Yeah.
And most people don't realize this shit. Yeah. Because the moment when you're in the moment in your life when you because I see like the moment in your life when everything is done, Nobody's going to help you out. The only person, at least in my case, who will be there, which I probably know, are like my family. You know, my brother, my like my brother, and as well like my parents. So most people, there's a low chance a friend from wherever is going to help you out in that situation. So, and I realized it, and I was like, okay, I got to do something back, you know. So that's where the crazy hustle began. So this is like maybe I went out of question a little bit, but this is like one of the things that like really urgently motivated me. Urgently. There was like, oh no, I need to do it now. We got to figure this shit out somehow. You also had that kind of experience, maybe?
Before I go on to me, I'd like to just touch on that because I'd like to add, which you didn't say, you actually retired your parents in 2021, right?
Yeah.
So not only did you do what you set out to do, but you did it in less than 2 years.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And like my dad wasn't working for a year or something at some point. And then he got so bored. He was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm just doing nothing. And then he started working again in some other place in the Netherlands. But but now it's not like he's working because he has to, just because now he wants to. So now the frame is so differently. And, you know, that's like, I would say, out of all the stuff I achieved and done in my life, I think nothing is going to beat this. Nothing.
No.
Even if I would build one day like a 9-figure company, I would exit. It still wouldn't be the same as like retiring my parents, telling them, yo, chill, I got this, you know? So that was like a big achievement for me and my brothers. And so, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you would have been 24 at the time?
Yeah, something like that. 24, 25, something like that.
To retire your parents at 24, bro, that's life goals.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It was, that was like one of the first things. And then I started going more into more living life, you can say. That was always my first priority, you can say,
So once you overcame that challenge then, or that thing that you really felt as though you needed to change, what became the new goal? Like what keeps you going now?
So I'd really say, and this might sound crazy because a lot of people when they have their first achievement, which is like freedom and taking care of the family, most people then start. I mean, most people at that point, they kind of get stuck in life. And I also had the same. Because what's next? What's going to be better? And I was, for a while, I was like, for at least a few months or like half a year, I automated my business. I was at some point in Turkey. For this, I was like, for example, like for 3 or 4 months, I was in Turkey, in Istanbul and some other places because as well, of course, I have Turkish roots, by the way, for those who didn't know. Yes, born and raised in the Netherlands, but I'm Turkish. And business was automated. I was making like, let's say 4 or 5K profit, whatever, something a day. And then it was boring, you know, and I needed something to put like, to light a big fire in myself. So of course, building cool shit, that also helps. But this might sound crazy, but what really helped me was enemies. So now you're like, enemies. What are you talking about, Faruk? Is this like you're not in a war or something, right? But so I've read this book, and it was this year, of Patrick Bet-David, named Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Have you read it?
No, but I've been following your vlogs, so I knew what you were going to say.
Yeah,
but
so choose your enemies wisely, amazing. So let me start with the first thing, that why I think that's so important, because it's building cool shit and stuff is nice, but what I really do enjoy is winning. I just want to win, whatever it takes. I want to win, and I'll do whatever. So if you watch, for example, on Netflix, the series The Last Dance, what happens there? You see like Michael Jordan, right? And there's a very nice analogy in that series on Netflix. A must watch, by the way. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Michael Jordan, bro, one of the GOATs. So they won 2 or 3 championships back to back, and then something like that. And then they were in the quarterfinals at the next one, and they lost against their rivals. And Michael was playing like shit, and he was getting older and older. And one of his one of the team of like the competitors said to him, at like, you know, when they won, I mean like when they lost, they said like, Michael, you see, you're finished, you're done, you're too old now, grandpa, whatever, that kind of shit. And he said it after the match. So Michael, when he was like mad, very, very mad, is what, like, if you do this to Michael Jordan, it's like GG, bro, you know? So, and then what happened is that, so like, it was like in 2 games, you know, like a best of 3, I believe. And then like in the next one, they played against each other again. And Michael totally crushed them, everybody. Like, he crushed the whole team. He made like a new world record, I believe, with like scoring points and stuff. And at the press conference, you know, like Michael said, you know, he was testing me and now he saw it. What's funny is that like 30 years later or something, in an interview, they asked the guy who said the words to Michael, you know, he said, "Why did you say that? Why would you make him so mad?" And and then that guy responded, "I didn't say anything. Why would I say anything?" You know? So what does this mean? Michael, he lighted a fire, like he imagined a fire or something, people calling him out or saying like bad shit to him in his mind.
Yeah.
That made him unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I do this as well to myself. Like, I won't go too much into detail because everybody has enemies, obviously, or somebody who said you're not going to be shit, you're not going to be anything in life. And I've had multiple occasions as well where heavily disrespected, people treat me like shit, but I respond differently. The only real way you can respond to people in a positive way, which will benefit you and all your loved ones, and piss off your haters even the most, especially enemies, just by having more success. Work harder and smarter. And that's what I've been doing. And it paid off. So far. But yeah, we're not done yet, obviously. But yeah, so far. And you will see that in every single level that you will reach new enemies. Like 2 years ago, it was, like this person or that person, and then that, and then that. And once you see that your enemies start fading away, you get new enemies, that's when you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, and it works so far.
Do you know why I'm smiling? Is because I don't know if you follow David Goggins, but there's a clip of him where he speaks about, I think it's maybe in his most recent book. It wasn't Can't Hurt Me. There's another one since then. But anyway, he says about how he read out all of his messages from his haters and turned it into an audio file, and he just plays it on max volume. So like his wife or his partner will come in and he's just like blaring this, like staring himself down in the mirror, and it makes me laugh.
Bro, it's awesome. Bro, when I bought the watch, like 2 days ago, I had somebody message me. First, he like sometimes when I have not so much motivation, what I do, I go through my DMs of haters. So this guy said like, "You're not even doing like full push-ups, you do half push-ups, you're a pussy." And then a few days later, he responds to me, "Whoa, you bought the watch for 26 grand. He's like, "Bro, you don't give anything to charity, you're so shit, whatever. And wow, you're not humble." I'm like, "Bro, you don't even know what I'm doing in life, or you don't know me, if you think I'm not humble or whatever." So I just read it, I get more, I'm like, okay. And now I need to go even harder, show even more. This is like this thing that really helps me, and not only me, but also has like a positive effect as well on the people like who I love, who care about me, who I care about. So yeah, it helps. I would recommend it to everybody, but obviously you have to know how to treat it. Like when I say enemies, I'm not saying, "Yo, go fight them, go beat them up, go do this or that." No, just work harder and smarter, and like use it as like even more oil like on the fire. That's how I do it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, clearly, whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to touch on as well, not to backtrack too far, but you were talking about being born in the EU or the US, about how you're somewhat privileged, and it's very true. And I wonder if that privilege creates a false sense of comfort for a lot of people, which is why they don't necessarily strive for more. Because let's just take your example. You mentioned you're Turkish, but you grew up, or were you born in Netherlands as well?
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming English then isn't your first language.
No.
So do you speak Turkish as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you speak Turkish, Dutch, and English.
Yeah.
So even if we just take it back to that level, like I was born in the UK, and I think it makes you, like I say, privileged to a sense, but like there's no need for me to learn another language unless I truly wanted to, or I wanted to go and live in another country. And I tried learning Polish for a little while because my partner's Polish, and I picked it up quite quickly. I built a routine and I built a habit out of it. But all that drove me to do that was I thought, oh, how cool to be able to speak another language. And also it's to be able to communicate more with her family, because I'll go around there, everyone's speaking Polish, and it makes you feel like you're missing out. Like, so I wanted to be able to do that. So that kind of encouraged me to do that. When it comes to answer your question, you said, what kind of drove me? I don't know that I necessarily had a particular thing, like retiring my parents or something like that. I mean, if I could do that, that would be amazing. But I don't know that I necessarily had something like that. It was more, I'd seen online during this time, 2019, 2022, that there were people that were able to make money from any country in the world and be, location freedom essentially. And then not only that, be location freedom, to actually work towards financial freedom as well. And I think that was what encouraged me to get exposed to making money online. I always felt when I was working a 9 to 5 that underappreciated, like, you're just there, you really, maybe not all workplaces are like this, I can only speak on my experience, but I just felt like I was very much just a worker, and I was there just kind of driving someone else's business. So I guess that's what encouraged me. I just thought, if I give as much time and energy into something that could help me work towards financial freedom or even location freedom, then I felt as though that's where I should be spending my time. It was difficult at the start, like I say, with work, university, friends, family, relationships. I maybe had like a few hours a week on the weekends to study this dropshipping course. Got through it in the end. But that was really what kind of drove me to get into dropshipping.
Did you have like a lot of friends who were saying like, that little business, that little dropshipping store, what are you doing, Theo? You have that?
Do you know what? I didn't tell anyone.
Really?
I did not tell one person what I was doing until I was in a group chat, and I maybe had 3 of my closest friends. And I only told them what I was doing once I'd already onboarded the suppliers, built the Shopify store, just started the ads, and actually registered it as a UK company. Then I told them, like, look, I've been working on something. And my friends were like very supportive. I don't think they truly understood what I was doing, but I was like,
awesome.
Yeah, I've always been a big advocate of, I don't like telling people what I'm doing until I've done it. And the reason I've done that, I always did it, and then I heard, in the back of my mind, I always thought it wouldn't come true, like almost like a secret. Like if you tell people what you're doing, there's a chance that it might not come true. So I'd always kind of just kept what I was building to myself until I have something to show someone. And then I saw a statistic or something, maybe it was like an Instagram reel, and it was someone talking about how when you do share your thoughts and opinions with people or something that you're working on, when it's an idea before you've even started building it, supposedly it can reduce your chances of actually ever becoming successful at that thing, because you get positive feedback from someone, typically saying, that's a great idea, you should do that. And it provides you with endorphins. And because of that endorphin of making you feel good before you've even done anything, you're already getting a sense of accomplishment. And supposedly it stops you from truly working towards what it is you're trying to do. So I've always kept it to myself as almost like a secret. Then I saw that reel, and that kind of made me think, oh, maybe there is something to this. Nowadays, I do tend to share what I'm doing with certain people, like people that have already walked that path before me, and they will allow me to then use what they've done and their knowledge to my advantage to try and build something that I'm working on. So
only if it makes sense, obviously.
Only if what they're saying makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is also a very good advice. I saw someone on the internet, I don't know where it said like, and I really believe in this, that only listen to people if you're seeking for advice from people who have actually done and are successful, or most importantly still are successful at the particular thing that you're trying to be successful in. So for example, if I want to become a pro crypto trader, I will find the guy who's the best and who's making money currently right now, not with the courses, not with the mentorships, but right now. If I'm looking for somebody who's the best in dropshipping, what I will do, or I want to learn like dropshipping, I would go to somebody who's currently still making money with dropshipping right now and has proof. Same for any other business. That is the way I go about it. This is how I always make sure when I invest something or when I focus on something, that I do get like the right information, because there's so much information out there, bro. You go to IG, TikTok, you hear like hundreds of shit every single time. So what is really important, what I think, to be honest, is that to find this right person, it's hard. But this is one of the things that I always do. I ask for proof, and and that's how I go by. For example,
I think that's a perfect segue into one of the things that I did want to talk to you about on this podcast is mentorship. You mentioned that you have a mentor in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know to what degree that goes, but you have your 5 pillars, which I love, by the way, which is health, wealth, love, happiness, and status.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you have a mentor for each of those pillars, or what does that look like?
So I don't have a mentor for each pillars, but I do have 2 mentors. What I think is really important is you gotta have like you gotta have always in your life like one old money mentor and one new money mentor. So my old money mentor is a guy who's currently doing Shopify, dropshipping, with his brand on a high level, and he's about to make a 9-figure exit this year. I won't say his name. Like he likes to stay private. Very, very, very amazing guy. Way older than me as well. Obviously, very knowledgeable. And my second mentor is somebody, I've said this before, but he and his brother, they brought doner kebab to Europe. And
Doner kebab?
Yeah, they brought it to Europe and to Germany specifically.
Yeah.
Like they are that guys. And he's the person I can just ask everything, and we are very, you can say maybe we're like even like a family at this point, like his son is like one of my best friends, if not my best friend. So I learned a lot from him. So sometimes when I'm in the Netherlands, I just go to his office, and like he has like 2 huge factories. So I go there and I ask for advice about business, about life, which helps me a lot, because I believe you will always need somebody who can like at some point kind of sometimes hold your hand. So this is very important. And also my other mentors, which are not real mentors, but what I learn a lot from is just reading books. So that's what I do. So that's very important for me. But about the 5 pillars, I don't have a mentor for every specific area. I did a lot of A/B testing, maybe you can say. But those 5 pillars, I really live by that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As I said to you before we started filming, it's something that I've been reflecting on a lot recently. And I even sent you it in a message, just enjoying the present, which I can see is something that you do, not excessively, but when I watch your vlogs, you always look like you're having fun. You always look like you're just genuinely enjoying life.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily trying to show, anything flashy. You're just living the way that you do. You're having fun. You're with your brother. You're with your friends, and it's enjoyable watching it. So keep doing that. By the way, I don't know what feedback you get on it, but I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
And it's made me realize not just that, but I'd kind of been thinking a lot, at least recently, anyway. Like, I think it is where I may be getting that little bit older. You're 27, I'm 28, and I'm sure you haven't always thought this way. Maybe it's something recent, I don't know. But for many years, the same way as you, it's always been, I need to be wealthy, I need to get financial freedom, I want to do these things. And it's more of like a short-term vision, because you're chasing money out of need as opposed to want. What I'm trying to say is it's a necessity. Like, you need to get that money to be able to provide for your family or to live the life that you want. So there's so much emphasis on that we often neglect maybe health, or I don't want to say neglect happiness, but something I've noticed I do a lot is I'm always working towards the next thing. And sometimes I forget to look back at how far I've come and enjoy the present. So honestly, these past few weeks, especially my family coming to visit just a couple of weeks ago, it just made me realize that the life I'm living is amazing. All right, there's maybe goals that I have to work towards that I want to achieve, but that's just being an entrepreneur. Like, everyone has goals, but I'm really making a point of just taking a bit of the weight off my shoulders, like just enjoy life, because one day I'm going to be looking back at this moment now and thinking, damn, you were working so hard that you forgot to actually enjoy the life that you had. So I think your 5 pillars is great, and it's always stuck in my head now.
Yeah.
And it's something I'd like to do more of.
Yeah, bro. And here's also the thing. I want to say it first, by the way. You cannot execute the way I live with 5 pillars in the beginning of your grind. It's impossible.
100%.
Where in the beginning of the grind, when you go to your first 10K a month, you can't do that. Like I'm gonna keep it real. You can't live crazy when you want to hit your first 10K a month. And I didn't do this well. I was just literally in the trenches, you know, like crazy beard. Like I was all over the place, bro. You know, like if I think about it, it's really crazy. But you can't live that, in all honesty. But later down the line, when you have kind of built your business, and I'm not saying autopilot, but when you have like outsourced specific tasks, then you can live the life according to like what I talk about. But in the beginning, no, that's basically impossible. And yes, I could still go there if I wanted to and live that crazy grind lifestyle. But I mean, look, I could be even dead tomorrow. Yeah. And then there's like nothing out. I mean, yes, there's something out there, but I try to. So the way I live my life is I've learned this from Tai Lopez, where he said, live 50% of your life as if you're gonna die tomorrow, and live 50% of your life as if you're gonna live for another 50 years.
Yeah.
So let's say for like the way that I live for the first 50% is as if I'm gonna die tomorrow, is I talk with my parents every single day. Whether it's WhatsApp or I call them, my brother. And what I also do is obviously, of course, like I enjoy life in the evenings. I spend time with my loved ones. I tell them, hey, whatever, you know, I just give like just random compliments, let's say. And the rest of them, and also in terms of like, you know, like business, I try to just have a lot of urgency. I always say aggressive patience and intense urgency. You know, that's very important. But the rest of it, the other 50%, is like, it's health, you know. And there's also like, for example, the happiness part, because this whole grind you have into your first 10K a month, you can do this for X amount of time, but after you will get burned out, which I also had when I just resigned from my job and I was graduated and I had my first 100K profit on my bank account. And then I knew, all right, now I can start real business. For 2 weeks, I was done. I was burnt out. You know, I was in a depression or something. I don't generally really believe so much in that, but I was really burnt out. So I had to like kind of go back and just chill a little bit. But that is why if you want to be on the top, you got to be fit. It starts with your body, right? So the 5 pillars of life: health, wealth, love, happiness, and status. So let's intersect them, you know. First of all, health. What I do, for example, the first 6-7 hours of the day, I don't eat anything. Nothing. Right now, like what time is like 2 p.m.? I didn't eat anything. Only coffee and espresso, no milk, you know, like no milk, no sugar, nothing, eat nothing. So that's what I do. And I always go for a workout in the morning, because the more intense your workouts in the morning, the more money you're going to make. This is like the same thing that Naval Ravikant said, a billionaire, like, like one of the first guys to invest in Uber. If you don't believe me, at least believe him, bro. He's a billionaire. So second of all, if you're gonna go, so what I prefer to do is like morning runs. I love it. First 20 minutes, I walk or have like calls with people, and then I go for a run. I'm dead, and then I'm like, all right, now the day can start. Maybe after like order something, whatever, and just work all day. So the second one is obviously after health is wealth. You know, what are you gonna do if you don't have money? Do I even need to explain it? How are you gonna go about it? But what I found really interesting is one of the mottos, you can say, from Capital Club, which is create, multiply, and preserve. So you create money, you multiply it by working harder and more investments, and like the preserve is like how you're going to keep it. Because I've seen a bunch of people here, they come to Dubai the first time, renting that car, buying that watch and that shit. Let's go to Dior, nice IG story. And before you know it, you're finished, my brother. And now you got to make a comeback, and downgrading your lifestyle is 10 times harder than upgrading, bro.
Yeah.
It's 10 times harder. So that's like the wealth part, right? So create, multiply, reserve. They say, big shout out to Capital Club, Luke Ballmer, Steve Ten, man. Amazing. Second one, the third one, health, wealth, love. I'm single right now, obviously. I think you have a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Since when?
About 2 years, 2 months now.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
Bro.
quite some time, and we moved out here together. So it's been very
Perfect.
yeah. It's been good. Yeah.
Lovely, bro. Yeah, I'm single, by the way. So, I mean, look, love. What I understand under love right now in my life is just it's my family. Really, you know, if I receive love from them, I give love to them. I'm a very happy person. So health, wealth, love, and the happiness. The next one. How do I keep my happiness very good? This actually comes back to health. When I feel bad or I have anxiety or fear, that kind of shit, I'm like, okay, what now? I can sit here. I can maybe go out. You can maybe drink, smoke a ciggy, whatever you name it. Won't change anything. The only thing that's really going to change is putting in the work or a good workout.
Mm.
Do you work out a lot, bro? I think you do, eh?
You know what? Recently, I haven't, because that's the only. Not to digress too much, but
No.
family were visiting. I was a little bit unwell last week, and I've been neglecting it a little bit, just where I've just been so much going on that I've been prioritizing other things, which isn't an excuse. I really do want to get back to it.
Yeah.
But if I can work out 3-4 times a week, I feel great. I'm very good with that.
That's awesome. Working out will beat always depression. Like for real. I had a call with Paul Nicholas. I don't know if you know him. Great guy from Twitter.
So.
Done over 8 figures and revenue and stuff. And he was also speaking with Davey Fogarty. Do you know Davey Fogarty? You have to know. Davey Fogarty. Do you know the Udi?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. They as well. They also do like a lot of like runs, morning runs. Why? We're like with this stress and all this crazy shit, the fast life that's going on in our life all the time. It's so hard to cope with it. You gotta have something that will make it go away. Morning runs changed totally my life. Like for real. Fasted morning runs, obviously. Always when fasting. So, and that brings it down to, to that and happiness. And one of the things that most people neglect actually is, well, what I think is very important is status. When my status has been increasing in the last year, especially also in the last few months, my life has gotten so much better. Not because you get recognized for shit on the street. I mean, I get it more and more these days, especially in Dubai. But when you have a higher, bigger status in a good way, and the way that I did it, like not by doing some random TikTok dance, but just showing who you really are, giving out value in the game, and as well showing where you come from, that's when you build respect. And when you build the respect, that's when your status, as well as a person and the success that comes with it, that makes it better because you will meet people that are going to be useful in your life and that you also generate respect. You get on bigger tables. Bro, I was the other day, it was like a month ago, at the Luke Belmar event. We had a VIP dinner with Luke and all with other people, by the way. They were like billionaires on table. Like if I wasn't in this personal brand spot, shit, like I would have never been on that table. Like, we were sitting like with amazing people like Luke Belmar, the owner of Jupiter Coin, Ton or something, like, Coin, Jordan Welch, Ahmad Mahmoud, and as well Arab, all amazing fellas. So, and this is the tables you want to be with because they're focused on just building and doing amazing shit, living life. That is the people that, like, in my opinion, if you're on that table, then you must be doing something right. There were like a bunch of amazing people there. So, yeah, it's very impressive. So I think this status thing, people really underestimate it, and it helped me in so much ways. Solutions, business ideas, bro. It's just everything is so much better. Just high quality of life.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you breaking down the 5 pillars, and I think a lot of people will find a lot of use out of that. I certainly did, so thank you. I'm going to try and just touch on a few things there. And one thing that you reinforced, and I want to emphasize as well, is I had a guest on, a friend of mine, Adam Power, and he said, don't emulate successful people as they are now. Emulate them how they were on their come up, which I think is exactly what you're saying. Like, yes, of course, don't go out and buy a 26,000 euro or pound Rolex and take a day off if you haven't automated your business and it's running without you, or you've hit that 10K mark, like learn to walk before you can run. And then when you're there, then enjoy the fruits of your labor, but continue building as well, because otherwise, what's it all for? If you just build, and even when you're hitting these milestones, set bigger milestones, and all it really becomes about is money, then I just think you're missing out on so much that life has to offer across those 5 pillars.
Very solid. That's a very solid thing. And I really believe in that as well. Especially the one you said is like, you can't run before you walk or something.
Yeah,
Say
learn
again?
to walk before you can run.
That's a very good one. That's a very good one. I think you also applied it in your business, right? Like you learn something, you try to outsource it as well, right? Your agency, your Google Ads agency. That's so important. That's how you become at some point a real CEO. Like you don't want to be in the business, you want to be outside of it and having like on helicopter view, see everything what's going on in the business and find improvements and fix it and be just creative, you know? So like in what way did you apply this in your business? Like just with like the walking and running like quote that you just said.
So you know what? It took me longer than it should have to realize the power of automating and outsourcing. Because it was my first time building a business, I very much had that mindset of, if you want something done right, do it yourself, which is by all means like learn the fundamentals. But once you learn the fundamentals and you have cash flow, you need to buy back your time, in my opinion, because you only have so much, especially when it comes to ecom, or if we're talking specifically Google Ads. If you want to scale and you want to take on multiple clients, then you only have so much time in a day. You need to start to identify the things or the core things that run the agency that other people should be doing, maybe like the internal operations or even parts of the process. So when we onboard a client, we have, I guess, a certain structure of the strategy that we're going to implement, what that will look like. And we need team members to implement those kind of things. As a business owner, or if you would say a CEO, you shouldn't really be doing implementation at that point. Yes, top level thinking, strategy, analyzing, understanding, problem solving. Yes, but also relationships, coaching, making sure the team is all right, making sure everything is running smoothly. So it took me a while to understand that. I was maybe working in my business rather than on my business. And when I realized that, I think that's when it changed. And even recently, me and my business partner sat down and we were getting a new landing page done. He was making some adjustments. I was doing a bit of copy. And we both had to be quite real with ourselves. I'm like, you're not a landing page designer and I'm not necessarily a copywriter. Why are we doing this? Like, it's taking us way too long. We're trying to squeeze it in around all of the other things that we're doing. We just want a landing page live so we can start pushing some traffic to it to test the waters. But by us waiting too long to identify that and trying to do it ourselves, we elongated the process and it took us 3 weeks to get a landing page made. It just, you said it earlier, speed is the most important thing when it comes to business. So if we're going to faff around with landing pages and copy when neither of us are experts in that field, we'd be better off just explaining what we want and getting someone else to build it. That's just one recent example. And like I say, these are things now that I even sometimes trip myself up on. It's very easy sometimes to fall into old habits, I think, and just think, oh, I'll just do it, I'll get the ball rolling. When really, someone who's scaling a business will identify the problem and then find someone who is maybe an expert at that who can then actually do it and implement it. So I think that's how I've applied it to my business. And that's even a recent example of something that I've done wrong, you know, that I've identified. And now I have my daily task doc, which is like a Word doc. And at the top of it, I have the 5 key pillars of things that I should be focusing on within the business, within my sector, which is, you know, prospecting, so auditing businesses and sales, building my personal brand on Twitter, which I'd like to talk on because you mentioned the power of status. Yeah. You know, the reason I've started doing that is I've realized you could know absolutely everything, but if you're not sharing it with everyone, no one knows who you are or what you even have to offer. Yeah. You know, so you need to start speaking about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it, whether it be documenting the journey or just showing your expertise. Because, like you said, and like Justin Wallace said previously, creating content is one of the best things you can do, because what you'll do is, yes, firstly, build an audience, but you'll attract more like-minded people. You'll be given the opportunity to sit at tables with people that you look up to or people that you've been following. Even me and you sitting down now, you know, I've been following you on Instagram for a while, and here we are. Like, we wouldn't be in this situation had I not started the podcast, had I not decided to niche down into ecom, had I not had Harvey on and you watched the podcast. Like, there's so many little intricacies that if I didn't get the ball rolling with my personal brand, we wouldn't be here. So that's the power of putting yourself out there. I'm still the same person that I would be without the podcast, but we probably wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the podcast. So that's an important point to think on there.
Yeah, man. It's really those small details which always make a big impact, you know? And I think you're doing very right in terms of the way that you handle as well your podcast and personal brand, because um, you can see from the way you're handling it that you're here for the long run. You know, you're here for the long run. Um, and I think that's getting more and more important these days, because look back in the days um, with any other stuff in personal brand, for example, 5 years ago, you could rent a Lambo, go to the Maiden Bridge, start a dropshipping course, and you were printing,
Mm.
right? Everybody would think, oh, this guy really is a Lambo, you know? And now it's all about credibility,
Yeah.
you know? So even if people watch your podcast, they're going to look, what is this guy actually doing? Oh, he's running Google Ads agency. Oh, he's doing this. Let's look him up.
Mm.
Twitter, IG. And that's where you get even more balls rolling and eyeballs from whatever you do. And I think that credibility is so important, you know, because that's why I always say, like, even with like, I have like this mentorship, I do personal brand, whatever you name it. But for me, it's so important that my core business stays my core business, which is my ecom stores, you know? So, and I think also in your case, this is very important. That's how we build that's how we build like real credibility. And that's what people actually want. Even on my YouTube channel, when I post the most raw videos, I get the most views, the most love, and it totally makes sense. This is a day and age right now where it's so easy to fake shit. And when you have that credibility and you show all the proof, which you also have, then you will get so far. Then it doesn't matter if it will take 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, you're going to get there.
Mhm.
So, realism, credibility, and saying shit what you stand behind, I think that's really so important, you know.
Yeah.
And you do that, so yeah, man, it's very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, as do you. You know, like I say, I enjoy watching your content because it's very real. You're just yourself, especially in your vlogs.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. You need to have conviction in what you're doing. You need to understand the why behind the purpose of what you're doing. For you, it was retiring your parents, and then now it's, you know, what was the right way of saying it? Not beating your enemies, but leveraging that to your advantage.
Yeah, leveraging it. Yeah.
So it was the same way for me. I just wanted to start a podcast because I felt like I had more to offer than what people already knew about me. I learned a lot in the trenches during COVID, dropshipping, mentoring, Google Ads, but I never really expressed it or shared it with anyone other than my clients. And I think if you've got something worth sharing, or even just you want to let people know a bit more about you and what you're doing, then you should share it. You know, I was encouraging my brother to do it about his clothing brand as well. They just hit 7 figures and it's amazing. Been watching
it's
them.
awesome. Awesome. You have a brother who's running a brand.
Yeah,
Sick.
for sure. So he's not based in Dubai. He's back in the UK with his business partner, but they scaled their clothing brand Trope Official, which is great because although I'm not directly involved in the business, me and Joe run their ads and we've been with them since like the very, very beginning. So it's been nice to kind of do that with him, and that's the closest thing I've got to being in business with a brother.
Awesome,
so,
man.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Do you have only one brother, by the way, or?
No, I've got a big family. 2
Really?
brothers, 2 sisters.
Awesome.
Yeah. They all came to visit, which was really, really nice.
Sick.
But yeah, I guess everyone in my family is a little bit entrepreneurial. My
Yeah.
other brother does Amazon FBA. This brother has a clothing business. I'm doing drop shipping, or was, and now I'm doing Google Ads. So yeah, we all kind of doing something. But yeah, no, it's been nice. But I guess yeah, all I was saying was it's just about having conviction in what you're doing. And I didn't start this podcast for any other purpose other than I just enjoy sitting down, having conversation. And it's nice to speak to like-minded people. It's a very enjoyable experience. And I don't know, you're doing it now. Like in here, it's not often you'll sit in a quiet room and be directly engaged with someone for an hour or 2 hours. Like, it's something that I think is missing a lot these days with all of the technology or our phones, where you may be in conversation and the phone rings, or you get a notification, at which point you're essentially just ignoring the person that you're talking to. And I do it as well. I don't mean to do it, but it's just very easy to get distracted now. There's a lot of noise.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's why I think that, for example, reading is so important. Meditating, for example, praying as well. Like, of course, you know, like how do you say it? You know, like I'm Muslim, alhamdulillah, but I'm not the best Muslim. I have so much to improve in. But those are the stuff, and just being bored, people underestimate it. How important boredom is. My buddy Zarak, who's now living in Spain, he lived in Dubai in the same building as me, and now he left. Great copywriter, by the way. And he said that like now he has more boredom in Spain, you can say, for example. I just had a call with him today, and that's why I remembered him again. And he said, and people really underestimate it because it's very nice. You live so fast. Like in Dubai, when you have to wake up very early in the city, because if you don't, your whole day, it feels like it's already done within an hour because you can't get bored here, which is awesome, right? But for me, to be honest, I think it has its downside sometimes because of that. And also mentally, it can be hard, maybe even sometimes. Why? Because it's very hard to process some shit that you had in life. Like I've never had like traumas or crazy shit happening. I'm always been very chill. I'm a very peaceful person, very peaceful. But you always go through shit in life which you kind of didn't have like processed. So when you meditate or even when reading books, especially when like meditating or praying, is that what happens is that your whole mind is one big email box, right? So every time, if you wake up every time, you have like a bunch of emails or messages. Every time you complete one of your tasks, it's like, oh, nice, next one. You get motivated. Oh, next one. And in your head, with all the shit that happened to your life, whether it's good event or a bad event, it's important to process it. Very important. That's what keeping you out of being insane. That's what's keeping you mentally as well strong and accepting things. And most importantly, moving on. So moving on is a really big part of what people, they also can manage to do, because a bad event happens and what ends up happening, they end up being more depressed and they get like totally lost in life. Whereas the successful entrepreneur, they don't rely on bad days. So if my competitor, for example, has 2 bad days a week, I'll bet for him, bro. I don't have bad days. Maybe once, maybe twice a year, maybe I have it. If my day is bad, I don't sit there and crying, I just take a coffee, I get mad, to be honest, and I have a good workout. I totally destroy myself in a workout. I do maybe 100 push-ups. I'm back, brother. To be honest, I'm really back. I'm ready to crush everything. Unless something really crazy happened, which didn't happen yet. For example, if somebody dies within like your close area, So, but besides that, that's how I go about it, And this is how just imagine if you have if you compare, let's say, like all this shit happened, and this is why these 5 pillars are so important, because these 5 pillars makes me always on track and move faster than most people in life, And that's also why I as well just focus only on 2 things, which is my Ecom stores and as well like my education business. That's it, nothing else. Not on there's so much like FOMO you can have in life, like fear of missing out. But I just genuinely know if I keep on focusing on these 2 things, that what pathway I'm going to go to, and as well what kind of impact it has on my life in a very good way, which it has, So, yeah, man, it's very important.
For sure. I think it comes back to what we were saying with having conviction in what you're doing, because otherwise everything is going to look like a great opportunity. I had it when I first come to Dubai. Like, there's so much opportunity here. You meet so many people doing the most interesting things and doing silly numbers, where it's just like, it gave me that moment of doubt where I'm like, oh, is there something else that I should be doing? But I'm glad that I didn't. But what I've done is applied what they were doing to what I'm already doing, like what you said about introducing an info product, which I guess this will be the first time I've mentioned it, and it's not live as of yet, or it might be by the time this podcast airs, but which is the Google Ads Ecom Academy. This time last year, I was living with my parents at age 27. Today, I live in my dream home in Dubai. If I knew then what I know now, I could have achieved this in 6 months instead of 3 years. Within my Google Ads Ecom Academy, you can learn how to scale e-commerce businesses with Google Ads. These strategies helped me work with known ecom brands like Cheese Geek, as seen on Dragon's Den and invested in by Stephen Bartlett. I also scaled my brother's business, Tropay Official, to 1.1 million in sales in 12 months, as well as many, many more. The Google Ads Ecom Academy is designed for all levels, beginners, intermediates, and experts who want to learn how to successfully scale e-commerce businesses. If you want to win with Google Ads, see the video description for more details. All right, now back to the podcast. So I'm still staying within my area, if you like, but I'm adding an info product to the mix because I've been coaching people for 3 years. I've had clients, however many clients, which I've scaled their businesses. So I think it's about time that I started sharing that and introducing an info product to the mix, which will also fuel the agency anyway. So it's a win-win in my opinion, but I would agree. I'm going to reference Adam Power again because he dropped a lot of gems on it on the podcast. He said, I'm not going to be able to remember the exact words, but he's basically talking about how you can only fit so much on your plate. And if you add something else to your plate without taking something else off, it's like adding a 5 kilogram weight to your back. And like you said, you only have so much energy or time within a day to grow all of these different things. And if you put too much on, you're just going to weigh yourself down and probably end up not succeeding in any of them, maybe. If you're trying to put out too much in too many different directions. I'm always of the mindset where there's a diagram and it's a simple diagram, it's a circle, and it shows someone focusing on one thing and the arrow goes really far, and then it's a diagram with someone focusing on a ton of things, but they're only able to put out such a radius and it's shorter. So that always keeps in my mind, like, don't take on too much. If you do want to experiment with new things, try and relate them into the business that you've already got at the moment. Because there's normally always a way to kind of find some overlap, even with the podcast. You know, I've kind of related it back to Ecom, which is what I do, even though I didn't start that way. But just find a way to kind of weave it in and make it work without spreading yourself too thin, I think.
You know, it's very dangerous because what's going to happen is that people become jack of all trades, aka master of none.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dangerous. Mm-hmm. Because especially in this life, 2024, bro, the market is full with sharks, bro. You know, imagine right now that if you would start a dropshipping store, yeah, you're competing against people like me, bro. Like especially like in our markets, you know, people who have the best solutions, scale as hard as I can, payment processes, they don't go down. I have an office like in India with like 15, 20 people, they're just working all day on our back end, almost unstoppable at this point. So, and you got to look at that, like because the more focus you put in there, the harder it will also go. So you got to imagine, bro, there's people who would even take their life at some point to just really go hard in business, you know? It's a cold world out there. I'm gonna be very honest, and I tell this to my students as well when they say like, "I can just work a few hours a week. Can I still make it?" No, you can't. You know, I'm not here to glorify any business model, bro, and certainly not for mine. Yes, I do make money when somebody joins my mentorship, but I don't glorify this shit. I get on my group calls. I tell them, bro, listen, in 2021, I lost this amount of money because I made these mistakes. Don't make these stupid ass mistakes. Don't be an idiot like I was. And I'm very straight to the point all the time. And it's this realism shit is so important. And I think that because of social media, a lot of times people really think it's that easy. You know, I saw a clip today of Steve Jobs where he was talking about, like, I think back in even like 1995 or something, when he when he first started Apple, he said, I thought, oh yeah, opening business, just a product, it's easy. But then, you know, when I first opened my company, I had to have a license. I had to buy in my office a coffee machine. I needed the salary. I needed the technology CRM system. I needed to do this and that. It doesn't end. Running a business is no joke. And I make this very clear to everybody, you know? So, and that is just the thing. Yes, I do dropshipping. Yes, I made money with it. Yes, I still make money with it. But it's certainly... I'd say it's not easy, but it is simple. That's what I would say. Yeah. To be honest, right? Yeah. Dropshipping is simple, let's be honest, you know, but it is not easy. That's how I see it. Yeah. At least do it like consistently, you know? That's the same as somebody who posts a screenshot of like 100K revenue in a year. the normal normie will be looking at it like, oh, 100K, but that's maybe like 12K in profit before taxes, when taxes are done. So you made even less than like a salary, you know? So like a salary of like 9 to 5. So I'm like, you know, really watch out we listen to.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's simple, not easy, but simple. But I think a lot of these business models are, but people just overcomplicate them sometimes. All of these business models work, but like you said, you just need to kind of go all in and get your feet wet and just go for it. If you're trying to do drop shipping whilst also doing this, whilst also doing that, your interests aren't aligned, you're trying to do too many different things. I guess we could just say that thing again. You're trying to run before you've learned to walk. Like, by all means, like, diversify slightly maybe and do something relative to drop shipping, but don't spread yourself too thin. Because like you say, the competition is going all in on these things and you're going to get caught up.
There's like a lot of Google Ads agencies out there, for example. Why do you think that you managed to bring it here? And obviously you're going to bring it higher, but why do you think you managed to be like profitable and take it to, I don't know how much you're doing, but you do at least 10K a month or 20K, whatever. It's like, how do you think that you like, why you managed to bring it there? And most people who start at agency, they just fail. Why?
Understanding delayed gratification, patience, conviction in what I'm doing. You know, when me and my business partner both sat down, Joe, when we like shook hands to start the agency together, the first thing we said was, which is quite funny really, we said, we don't even necessarily care about the money. We just really enjoy what we do. And I remember that conversation to this day. I think money is a byproduct of success, and everyone measures success in different ways. Money is often a very easy way to measure success because we all value it the same. Yeah. But we didn't necessarily start this business trying to do whatever it's called, arbitrage, trying to leverage other people, trying to make a quick buck. We had invested the time in the skills. He was a CMO at a global marketing agency called SV Media, managing really, really big US clients' advertising accounts. So he was very, very experienced in that seat. I'd been doing Google Ads for my own Ecom store and teaching other people of the high-ticket dropshipping course that I taught, that I'd purchased, which I still freelance for today. So I think to answer your question is, it was never, it's the same as the podcast, here for the long run. I'm not really necessarily everything I'm doing always trying to just make money and make money as quick as I can. It's like, what do I actually enjoy? And now how can I build on this and turn it into a business? So I think it's just understanding those things, that it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. So you need to have conviction in what you're doing. And you need to think long term. You're going to have many failures along the way. You went broke 3 times. I've been at points where we've had our best months to date, and then it's all come crashing back down a month later. You know, business, everyone thinks it's going to be like a crypto meme chart, right? Everyone thinks your business model and your revenue is just going to go sky high, but it doesn't. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, and that is the reality of it. But what is the most important thing is it makes a slight curve along the way, and each time you're getting a bit better, or you're understanding from the mistakes that you've made and not making them twice. So that was a long-winded way of answering your question, but I think it's so many different things. It's not just one thing, you know?
Bro, I had the other day, some guy asked me, it's like, Faruk, how the hell did you grow so quickly in the last few months? And he's also running like a personal brand on IG, and he was way bigger than me before. Well, what have you done? Like, how did you do it? And he asked me all these questions. And because, we grew from like 30K followers or something to 130K followers. I grew my IG in like a few months' time. Everything blew up. And then I was like, bro, just being myself. Because the worst thing that can happen to you is imposter syndrome. And let me tell you as well why. Is I started this whole personal brand shit for a better network. And because I genuinely just like talking to people and impacting people in their first stages in life in a good way. Because it was so miserable for me in the beginning, and now I can show them the good side. Because I genuinely live that life. And I do this shit every single day. And when I looked at his personal brand, and when I saw him in front of the camera, you could see it wasn't genuine. People feel it, you know? They feel it. They're like, fake. You know, what is this? You know, they can feel it, you know, bro. For me as well, if I make the most real videos, I said before, it goes the most ham because people can feel my realness. And it is true. So I think this is one of the reasons it went so hard as well for us, is because people can just feel what I shit is like straight from my heart, you know? And this is why I'm kind of unstoppable in this shit, because I enjoy what I'm doing and I wake up every single day where I'm like, I'm gonna fucking get it. This is where my whole mindset is. And if you don't have that and you do it kind of forced for money all the time, you're gonna lose to me. You're gonna lose. It's gonna happen, you know? And that's why, for example, I don't enter certain businesses, because there's somebody out there who will enter that. I mean, I could make money with it in the short term, but I know in the long run, I'm gonna get beaten. Because why? It's not for me. It's not destined for me. I don't like it. It's nothing for me. I wouldn't do it. I know I'm gonna lose. Pick something, what I always say is at first where you can have your kind of your edge, you know? And that is why the personal brand game was the most logical for me, because I know in the long run I'm gonna win, you know? So, and that's what's slowly been happening now. I'm now in the first stages, you know, of my well planned strategy, you can say, what's gonna happen. So it was bound to happen. This is for everybody. If you just be yourself, people are going to see it, you know? And that's why, for example, a person like Tate or Luke Belmar, people can see how real they are. That's why they get so big, you know, or Iman. So, and this is the game. Be yourself, be authentic. I don't look at my competitors or people, you know, like who do their stuff. I just look at myself and I try to be the best every single day. And that's what people can see, you know? So, yeah, just follow that path. That's so important. Imposter syndrome, very dangerous. I had a call with Steve Ten about it. I don't know if you know Steve Ten, OG of Capital Club, and as well from dropshipping. Crazy and amazing guy. I asked him like about some stuff about like personal brand. What is the most important thing? He said, don't have imposter syndrome, you know? That's what he advised me. So, yeah, man, it's a very good one.
Yeah, for sure. You know, what I was going to say was just referring back to Naval, because you mentioned his name earlier. I've read his almanac. Have you read it?
It's awesome.
I think it was Naval that in there he said something similar to what you said about how he won't be outworked because he works 12 hours a day because he wants to be there. It doesn't even feel like work. It was Naval, right? Yeah, so it's the same thing. Like you said, like if it's a tough one, isn't it? Because at the start of your journey, money is the core driver, but to be there for the long run, you need to see past that. You need to see the bigger vision, I think. Would you agree? Do you see the same with your students? Or
what do you mean, that you have to see that they have to see the bigger vision in the beginning?
I'm just trying to relate it back to what we're saying here about doing things with conviction and doing it, waking up every day and hustling and being there in the trenches because you truly believe that this is what's going to get you ahead, as opposed to it always being just about money. That I can only relate it back to myself. Like I say, you said, why was I able to create a successful Google Ads agency? And I think it's because at its core, it wasn't just about money. I wasn't just chasing revenue. Obviously, that's a great measure of success, but it was because at my core, it's like, well, I actually enjoy doing this. So do you think that's important when starting out, by trying to find something that you enjoy? Or do you think?
No, not really, I think with your case, I see it's very nice. But in the first case, I didn't really start dropshipping because, like, you know what? I'm going to find some products from China and sell them online. You know, like, let's keep it real. That was not on my mind, bro. You know, so that was never on my mind at the beginning. But now it's like the impacting with the education business. That's what I like to do. But like, opening a new store in a German market again, finding some dresses and orthopedic sneakers and sell them online. I'm not waking up with a clear mind. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do, like genuinely. And I always say this, I'm keeping it real, you know. So that's what I really enjoy. It's just like the cash flow and what I can do with it. That's the most important part. And if you gotta do that in the beginning, who cares, bro? Who cares? Find something that you can make money in the beginning with, that you have that you can sustain a good life and help your loved ones. And then you can find somebody what you genuinely like. Because it wasn't even possible for me to start like a personal brand or whatever from the beginning, even especially back then, because it didn't make any sense. What am I going to teach people? I don't know, shit. You know,
Mhm.
that's what I hate. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I hate it when somebody like is like didn't do any shit in their life and they start making content and stuff online. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You know, go through trenches, go experience some bad shit in your life and come back from it, and then come talk here. You know,
Yeah.
what are you gonna teach the people? So I went through that phase, and then I started. Then I could say, all right, now I can do this, and this is what I like to do. You know, when like when one of my students, when they have like success, man, I can sleep better, literally. You know, with dropshipping stores and stuff, like I don't have that generally. Even if I make like 10K profit a day with dropshipping, it's just I'm like, it does make me really so much happy, bro.
Yeah.
Nice KPI, whatever, but I don't have so much feeling anymore behind it, you know. So
Yeah.
that's how I go about it. But as for students and stuff, no, like I don't think it should be passion or anything in the beginning. You just gotta go through the trenches and go like full.
Yeah.
You just gotta go like through the trenches and go full hardcore mode, you know, which I call trenchcore. That's my name for it, you know. I say it so. Yeah,
Ecom
there's nothing wrong
protocol.
with it. You have to like build that character, bro.
Yeah.
And slow success builds character, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you know what? It's funny because you've jogged my memory about drop shipping and you said selling dresses and trainers.
Yeah, I do.
My my store was selling nursery furniture, prams, pushchairs, travel systems, car seats.
Do you have passion for that? No.
Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I'm. That's
Who
why I'm
cares?
laughing
Who
because
cares? You're
you've
making
made
money.
you've made me think back to that actually. But interesting, like you say, once you get the cash flow, and I realised, oh, actually, I'm enjoying helping other people scale their stores through Google Ads. Oh, there's a need for Google Ads. I like Google Ads. Let me start a Google Ads agency.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, once you have the pressure, once you've removed the pressure of needing cash because you've been able to achieve something that can now sustain your lifestyle, especially in the early days if you're living below your means, then you can actually start to think about maybe what you want to do. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Passion versus profit. You know, what is it that you actually want to do?
Look, to be honest, bro, like the passion shit, it just comes and goes. If you're gonna do something for 10 years, impossible to still have like passion for it. There gotta be some balance, you know? Like, for example, bro, like in 2015, like I still have the resignation letter. Not resignation, but like I got fired at the Burger King when I was in 2015. I got fired, bro. And I didn't enjoy working there, bro.
Yeah.
Of course not. I was a pizza delivery guy. Did I enjoy working there? No, but I had to. Same as like in the beginning, did I enjoy when I came home after such a long day after school and work, you name it, that I still had from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. watch another dropshipping course and execute it and try to make money and still lose money. Did I enjoy that? No, of course no. But you build character because it is just a fact. Mental toughness, you only build that by just going through shit. You gotta go through shit. You just gotta do that.
Yeah.
Really, you gotta do that, bro. And if you don't want to go through there, I'm sorry, but you're just not gonna be successful. It's bullshit out of this world, you know. So, and I saw a podcast between David Goggins and Andrew Huberman where Andrew Huberman was talking about that it's been researched and proven that mental toughness, every time you do shit intentionally or shit that you don't like intentionally, you in your brain you create this kind of thing. I forgot the names, like something crazy. You know, Huberman has always this crazy shit. You know, and they said that for the next thing that you absolutely hate doing, it will become easier. So, and imagine you do this all the time. How quick are you gonna grow? And we all know you don't learn you don't learn anything from your wins. You only learn some shit from when you fail. You know,
Yeah.
and from the shit that you hate to do. So. And that made total sense. And then I saw Andy Frisella as well talking about that. So I just as well started putting my time more into shit that I hate to do. More and more these days. Well, even in something I do have like passion about, but everything grew so much more harder. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it helps. Yes.
Well, there's a few things. Hopefully I'm getting this right, but you mentioned you used to have problems with speech, right?
Yes.
So you got a sales job. So you threw yourself in at the deep end, right?
Yeah, exactly. I used to be stuttering, bro.
Yeah.
Like crazy stuttering.
Yeah.
Because when I was like 3 years old or something, I had like a bike with like the wheels on it, you know. I was still very small and I wanted to ring the doorbell because I had been outside for hours. I was tired, whatever. I couldn't ring the doorbell and I was bonking like on the door, like nobody was hearing anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna step on the, like, how do you call it? Like saddle or something where you're like,
Yeah.
and then I wanted to click on the doorbell. the moment I click, I fell on the ground with my face on like the street concrete. Boom! You heard like boom on the street. Everybody was like, "What the hell?" People were outside and shit. Like my whole teeth was out, bleed and shit. So, and then I think it was like a trauma or something when I was a kid, and then I started stuttering. And not like there was not like really health problems or something, but just stuttering. and the way that I overcame it was I just faced it. If you have a problem with somebody, you call him. If there's a problem in your business, you work for it, you fix it. And even then I realized, and as well, shout out to my parents, they said, Faruk, you can't just be not talking and stuff. You gotta live through this and face it and challenge yourself. So I did that. And then, I overcame it, you can say it. And that's why this whole content game is so funny for me, because I was the most introvert person. I wasn't really talking a lot, bro. Like really, and then at some point it just went away. I went into sales and now like a lot of content and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's funny how life changes, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think people more often than not allow these words to define them. Yeah. I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm introverted. But you're almost just putting a chain on yourself. Do you know what I mean?
So what do you do, for example, when you feel anxiety or fear or depression? What do you do?
Bro, I don't ever, this is going to sound crazy, I don't ever experience any of those things.
Awesome, bro. That's very good.
Yes, I have emotions. Yes, there are things that will happen in business or in life that will take me by surprise. But I wouldn't say, I've never thought I'm depressed. I've never thought, I'm anxious. I've never thought I'm scared. I mean, the closest thing I could get to like real raw emotion of being fearful is when you're about to go into a boxing ring, like boxing. Or
did you do that, or did you?
I did, yeah, not for long, but for like a few years in the UK.
Oh, nice.
I'll give you a silly example, and I guess if the closest thing I would maybe get to fear or anxiety is making sure that when I come here, I get your introduction right. So making sure I've actually understood your past and what you've done correctly, and understanding that I can relay it in a way that portrays you and what you've done, and making sure that I'm getting everything correct. That's the only thing that I wouldn't even describe it as fear or anxiety. It's just like, I need to get this right. There's pressure on me to get this right. There's cameras here. We only get one shot, so I need to perform. That's how I look at these things. If I do have a bad day, I get in the gym, bro. I do exactly what you said. I go and lift weights. That clears my mind, and I realize the things that I was thinking about that were letting them affect my mood were so small and so irrelevant. That's what I do.
Works like magic, bro. Bro, like 1.5 years ago, I was fat, bro. Did you see my pictures? You see them? Bro, I was fat, bro. I'm not like the most fit person or whatever right now, but I was really fat. And yeah, it makes such a big difference, bro. Just working out, it's so simple. Just 1 hour away from the world, and you're just literally back in the game, bro. It's so amazing, bro. I definitely agree. Yeah.
Do you ever feel those things? Anxiety, depression?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Bro,
and what would be an example of something that would cause you to feel that way?
Bro, sometimes I just wake up, feels like the whole world's falling apart. Bro, it happens like 2-3 times a week. Because I put myself intentionally under so much pressure every single day, where you have to feel it. If you don't feel it, it means you don't give a shit. If you do feel it, it means you do give a shit and you want to change something. So I have it all the time. And as I said, we go back into like aggressive patience, and as well high urgency, intensive urgency, whatever you call it. It's, you gotta feel that in order to move fast. I move quickly. So whenever I ask somebody something, or I have a team member, I hire somebody new, if I don't see any impact on my business, if I don't see any impact in the first 48 hours of my business, you're out, bro. Done. You're out. So, and a lot of stuff I follow up, even maybe if I'm sometimes annoying. That's what I genuinely care about. So important. And the way I deal with office, like working out, fasting, you name it, calling my parents every single day, those are the things that really help me. But I do have it all the time. but I just manage to deal with it because I have my protocols. I go about the 5 pillars in life, as we said before: health, wealth, love, happiness, status.
Yeah.
That's how I manage it. Of course, I go through so much shit in my life, bro. If it's not easy being me. I'm gonna be very honest, but yeah, I just push. Yeah.
Oh, you saying that has made me like reflect, because you said if you don't feel those things, you don't care. And then my immediate thought was, well, I do, yeah, but I do care about my business and all the things that I'm doing. So I'm wondering if I experience these things, but I don't ever label them.
Nice. That's good.
I think this is what the difference is.
Very good.
I understand that I'm going to have emotions. I'm going to feel stress. I'm going to feel pressured. But in my mind, I think, well, that's a normal, justifiable response. That's how I should be feeling off of the back of this particular situation. And I think just keeping regular workouts in the mix just helps keep that consistency with how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I always know when I haven't been going to the gym because I've become more irritable, or there's little things.
Also less focused?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I've pretty much just had about 2 weeks off of the gym because I've been a little bit unwell last week, and then the week prior to that I had family visiting. And when I get back in that gym, I'll be halfway through a workout and I'll think, I feel amazing. Why have I not done this for the past 2 weeks? It's almost like I forget, and my body, halfway through a workout, you've got a good pump on, or whether you're running, whatever it may be, I get the same experience after a run. You just feel good. You feel different. It releases endorphins, we know this. So yeah, definitely. I think I do care, definitely, but maybe the only thing I can think is perhaps I'm just not allowing myself to label these things, because I'm very cautious to put labels on things, especially if I think it's something that will have a negative impact by me thinking of that label. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You do it great, bro, really. Bro, I've had so many friends in the past, which makes me very sad, by the way, that they still haven't processed bad shit that happened to them in the past, and they end up in a very dark place every single time, and they can't really manage to process it. What happens is that they can't really move in life, and they stay at the same point, because that is, for me, like one of the most scariest things, if I'm just gonna be in the same place all the time. That's what I had before I started my business, and that was I would say even that was more depressing than anything, besides the fact that one time we lost like all the money we had after making so much money overnight in 2021. And I think that was one of the worst stages in my life and I think many people will also like understand this or have this feeling even right now, where they wake up like 6, 7 a.m. They take the bicycle, they take the train, wait for the bus, they get at their work or school, and they let you do something they don't like, and they come back home, and they're like, oh, tomorrow I will start that business. And then they're home, they put on a movie, or they go maybe on the weekend smoke weed with their friends, some Cheetos, chips all the time, whatever, unhealthy lifestyle. And you have this all the time, and you're not moving. This is like one of the most depressing shit all the time. The only moments, especially so like with those 5 pillars, and moments where I genuinely felt like as a man I was doing something right, was obviously the parents retiring and shit, but just leveling up 1% every day.
Yeah.
Just showing up, bro. Even if it's for 1 hour, just show up, bro. And this is the moments where a man feels the most respected. Also in a household, when he's the most respected. This is what I genuinely believe is a key lever to really like a win, So yeah, man, just 1% better every day, bro.
Yeah, I think there's a few things I'd like to say. I don't know if I made this quote up. I'm not going to claim it in case I did get it from somewhere. But there's something that I have written, and it says, essentially, if you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards, because time is regressing. We're losing time. So if you're not getting 1% better every day, you're actually getting worse, because you've just lost that 24 hours.
Inflation.
Yeah, inflation. And
it's like time inflation, right?
For sure. And we know it's at all-time high as well. So there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to say about this whole, stress, anxiety, depression, I think what we also need to make everyone aware of is what you're doing is on a much higher magnitude than what I'm doing. You have 40 employees. I'm a team of 4. So that will also be, I'd imagine, why you have more of a right to say that you feel these emotions versus me. I'm sure if I put a 0 on the number of employees that I've got, I would probably feel the same way as you.
Yeah. I mean, look, in the end, it's all about levels and stuff, bro. I have a friend, he's doing $1 million profit a month and he has no employees.
Crazy.
Right? And of course, I don't do that. Far from it, by the way. But there's always levels to the game, bro. That's just how I see it. And I have a friend, he's 21. He did over 150 million in revenue with Ecom in only 2.5 years being in the game.
Wow.
So it's like, it's look, I do, I don't think comparison is the thief of joy. That's what they say. I think that's bullshit to some extent. But there are stages. If I look at somebody, for example, at somebody who's doing like the same as me, and I know, for example, this person, we're kind of on the same level and he's doing better, I will look for ways to improve. I want to win. If I'm going to look at, for example, a Hormozy and I see what life he's living with the jets and shit, yeah, I do want it as well. I don't envy it. I respect the shit out of it. Even my competitors, I respect the shit out of my competitors, bro. It's a hard game out there, really. But this doesn't mean that this doesn't mean that I'm going to envy them or you need this kind of stuff to go harder because otherwise, who's going to push you? You need competitors, So I think this is actually a very good thing, to be honest. And I love comparing myself to other people as well at that point because otherwise you won't grow. You're going to stay at the same. You're going to think you're the king, but you're not. You're still shit. So, yeah, that's what I still feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Dubai is very easy to make you feel that way.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's good, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition. And something I'm, working on recently is I'm trying to really break out of any of my old ways of thinking in which I had limiting beliefs. I didn't even realize they were there, but they were. And I'm really trying to just have this abundance mindset and being in a mindset of wealth up here more than anything, and changing the way that I operate and the decisions that I make and the way I think about spending money in these things. Because when you have an abundance mindset, I truly believe you attract more wealth by spending more and being more, as opposed to having limiting beliefs and perhaps holding on to cash. I think it puts you into a scarcity mindset. What do you think?
Look, what I always do, my mentor told me, he said, Faruk, when I was first making money, he said, Faruk, it's amazing that you're making money. The tap, there's a bunch of water coming out of the tap into your bucket and it's floating now. Now, he said, now you're doing stupid shit. Like I bought him a watch like 1.5 years ago for like 3K or something, some Swiss brand. He said, this is stupid. Why the hell are you doing this? He said, what do you think you are? Buying me a 3K watch. But in a good way, right? Of course, he said thank you and stuff, but he still said it to me. He keeps me very grounded, bro. Every time I talk with him, I feel like shit, bro. Like real shit. And then he said, but you gotta save up for the bad times. That is the only way how I managed to, when I made all the money, lost all the money, and I managed to make a comeback because I didn't spend like an idiot, right? So I do believe there needs to be kind of always, not necessarily a plan B, but some money on the side, especially if you have responsibilities. If you have, for example, in your case, like a girlfriend, you have people you have people you're like responsible for me, like parents. There's always something I have on the side. But besides that, I go all in on investing on different stuff. Can be gold, Bitcoin, like crypto. I also invest crypto, of course. Learn new shit, courses, mentorships, mentors. Bro, I'm all in on that. Books, but also just spending money. Bro, like a few days ago, I bought this watch. Did I really need it? No. But it's nice. It looks cool. I love it. I always wanted to have it. It's like a reward for the hard work I have.
Yeah.
And you're also putting money on the side somewhere else, you know, because before like buying the watch, I was like looking, hey, like, you know, which ones increase in value, which ones are stable. And this Daytona is always stable, for example. You know, that's why I bought it and it looks cool. So this is also the shit that I look at. But bro, you gotta enjoy these things because, bro, imagine now, right? I'm gonna give you a very nice analogy. When you save up, it's good, but there needs to be a limit. When you can buy the Lambo, bro. When you can buy that watch, buy that watch. When you can buy that new car for your dad, do it.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to have is when you're like, I mean, I always say, I hate the quote, sacrifice your 20s and 30s so you can enjoy your 40s, because imagine you're 50 years old.
Yeah.
50, 55, 60, and you were in a position where 20 years ago you could have bought that Lambo, cruised it, go anywhere in the world, drop top, you know, Saint-Tropez vibes, chill. But you didn't do it because you were greedy, you wanted to save money all the time.
Yeah.
Bro, you're gonna go into the Lambo with your back's hurting. You know, your knees, joints, everything is done.
Yeah.
You finally get into the Lambo. You go to Monaco with your Lambo, awesome, you know. But you're just one of those dudes. It's not impressive to see a 50 or 60-year-old guy in a Lambo, bro. I mean, you've been basically working all your life. Of course, then you can buy a car which is 250K maybe. You can even pay it off by paying like 2-3K a month. It's nothing special, bro. A Lambo, for example.
Yeah.
So, and then you're gonna regret it. Why didn't I do this earlier?
Yeah.
Even my mentor, who was like very down to earth, never bought any watch or crazy shit for himself. He even like he spends his money in different ways, obviously. But he says, Faruk, if you need to do that and you would definitely enjoy it, do it, pay it.
Yeah.
You know, but keep in your mind, have this safe haven also always behind you. But yeah, then do it. So, bro, spend that money, bro.
Yeah.
For real.
I think I would add a finishing note, and it's something we spoke about earlier, which is live 50% like you're going to die tomorrow, and live 50% like you're going to be here for the next 50 years. And I think the same applies to money. Have that safety blanket. I'm not going to tell people how they should or shouldn't spend money. Everyone's situation's different. But something I realized was I was a hoarder. I was hoarding my money when actually there's no real need to do that right now. I have so many investments in cryptocurrency. I know what that's going to be worth in the next 6 to 12 months.
That's smart. Good.
You know, I like we said earlier, the 3 pillars of Capital Club, I think you said them, was
create, multiply, preserve.
Yeah. So I'm working hard at the agency to create. I'm multiplying with crypto, and then I will sit on that and find other investments to preserve. So there we go. Faruk, 2 hours in. That was a really, really enjoyable
already
conversation.
2 hours in.
Yeah,
crazy.
for sure. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome, bro. Thank you.
I enjoyed that a lot. I'll put it in the description anyway, but for people that want to find out more about you, what you do, and also your course, which we didn't really get to touch on too much, but they'll be able to find a lot of that on YouTube and on Instagram. Where can people find you?
Yes, for sure. So on Instagram and Twitter and on YouTube, type in Ecomlegend. You will see me, basic handle. So they can find anything about me about there. So yeah.
Yeah, the smooth operator.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you.
Love, brother.
Thank you, bro.